Welcome to my knitting room. Today I'm going to show you how to make a dog sweater. These are super simple. I have made dozens of these and they're so much fun. So if you're a beginner, this is a great pattern for you. I'm using a bulky machine. I'm using the LK100 and it's a little different because it only threads on the carriage and the yarn comes up from the floor instead of behind the machine. So when you're watching the video, that's may be different for you if your machine draws yarn from the back. But I promise you, if you've got a bulky machine, no matter where the yarn's coming from, you can make this sweater. You're going to use a ribbed hem. That's what we start with. And because we're only using every other needle, sometimes I use a really thick yarn for the little turtleneck part of the sweater. And that works really well since it's only every other needle. But you can just use worsted also. It's fine. Today I am going to be using a thicker, like a number 5. And then for the main body, I'm going to be using just a Red Heart worsted number 4 yarn. But you can see, you can do all kinds of different color combinations. This particular sweater is for a dog that's going to be between like 9 to 11 pounds. And I want to say this is for a little girl dog because I'm making this sweater the same length on the inside, the chest piece, as I am the back. If you've got a little boy dog, like I do too, I also have a little boy dog, then you're only gonna make the chest piece halfway down. So you would cut that in half for the chest. So I'm going to start with some waste yarn. Now for this size sweater, I'm going to be using 29 needles and I'm pushing back every other needle. And then I'm going to knit my waste yarn on, cast on comb, and I'm going to knit a few rows of the waste yarn. I'm just going to clip, hook it on my cast on comb, and thread up my main yarn. Still on every other needle though, because we're making a ribbed hem. So we need to keep every other needle. And I am going to knit 20 rows. And I forgot to set my row counter, so I'm fixing it there, setting it to the rows I've already knit. Adding a little bit of weight. The LK100 likes a little weight on those edges there. It does much better if I add some extra weight on the edges. And I'm just going to knit 20 rows. And you see how good the LK100 just does this, like number 5 yarn on every other needle. It's just perfect. And I am really picky about keeping my weights up close to the bed while I'm knitting. You'll see me move my weights up quite a bit. And now I'm going to take the weights off, take my cast on comb off, and I'm going to get my 1-prong transfer tool, push all the needles up that I'm going to be working. And now I'm going to take every other stitch, every other needle, and I'm going to put a stitch on it. And you can clearly see those little bumps, the stitches that you need to grab with your transfer tool and put on the empty needles. I loved ribbed hems. They're one of my favorite ways to start a lot of projects. I think it looks really pretty and it's so easy and fairly quick.
put my cast on comb and some weights back on. And then I'm going to thread the yarn through my carriage, my main yarn that I'm going to be using. And reset my row counter. Can't forget that. Now I'm going to knit 50 rows. And I'm on tension 7. And I have done tension 9 for like a stretchier, looser fit, and it works, you know, just as well. If you want something that's a little bit stretchier for your dog, tension 9 or anywhere 7 to 9 works great. And I'm just going to continue to knit 50 rows. Now I'm going to bring all my needles up. I'm going to do a crochet cast off. You can do whatever kind of cast off you want. This is usually the one I do. It's not quite as stretchy as, you know, some of the other cast offs, but I like the way this looks, and because I'm going to probably put a crochet edge on this one, it's just really easy. So that's my plan. Crochet cast off is pretty quick too. So as you see, I'm just like putting my latch tool between the needles into the stitch, wrapping my working yarn around, pulling it through, and just going down the line. And I'm going to do that all the way to the end, and then tie it off. I'm going to cut it, and I'm just going to pull it through that loop, and then I'm just going to take my knitting off the machine and get ready to do the chest piece. And if you want to do any kind of shaping to the back, I do have an additional video on that that's in the pattern. And if you need a smaller size, that's in the pattern too. And I just removed the waste yarn from the little turtleneck, and there's the back half of my dog sweater.
After you've made the back of your dog sweater, you are going to make the chest piece of the dog sweater exactly the same, only you're only going to pull forward for this size 23, and then you're going to push back every other needle. And you're going to cast on the same. You are going to knit the rib, do the hem the same. You're going to then either knit 60 rows or maybe half of that if you've got a little boy dog and you don't want it as long. And then you're going to crochet cast off, and then you're going to measure down. I usually measure down for this size 4 inches. And then I put a little marker there, and then I measure down another 3 inches, and I put a marker there. And then I'll do a mattress stitch, which you can find many tutorials on that. Just do a mattress stitch or your preferred stitching for stitching knit pieces together. But that's all you do. So 4 inches, 3 or 4 inches if you've got a dog with thicker legs. And then you're going to sew the rest of it together. And then you can put a crochet trim on it if you want to. You can also add a little trim around the legs, a little crochet around the legs if you want to do that. I will be honest, I do sew up the insides of these and a lot of my knit items with my cover stitch machine most often, but I will also use a regular sewing machine with the overlock stitch sometimes too, and the bulky foot or a popping foot, popping cording foot. If you sew, that is an option. It's quick, and everybody says, oh, you can't do that, it's so bulky. No, it's not. It's not bulky. It actually, here, I'm going to show you guys. Here's a seam I did with the mattress stitch, and then here's my seam I did with my cover stitch. You can sew up the pieces however you want. And if you're interested in the details on sewing up machine knits with a sewing machine or a cover stitch machine, I'll have a video on that too, and when it's ready I'll link it below. I hope you've enjoyed this pattern. I hope it was easy for you and you were able to make a super cute dog sweater for your fur baby. I hope y'all have a good one. Happy knitting.